Hi, my name's Teresa Reinhardt, and you're watching A Note to My Daughters. Chapter 1, The Seed. The Seed. How do I start it? Well, I know what I want to say. The seed was long before I was thought of by a force greater than myself. I was born to Frank Allen Eisner and Mary Frances Warren. One was 23 and one was 27, I believe. I'll have to look to make sure. But I was born 12:14 a.m. on August 16th, 1965. Frank Allen Eisner. He was adopted on April 16th, 1935. He was born January 16th, 1935. To parents unknown. I don't know who his parents are. He was adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Reinhardt, who became my grandparents. And the most wonderful grandparents a child could ever have in their life. They gave us structure and love and comfort, and they taught us what grandparents are. And they were wonderful people, and I just miss them on this earth. I feel them in my heart every day. My mom and Papa Reinhardt. Dad and Aunt Sue were adopted by them. The story was told that my father was left in a basket with a note to please take care of their child that the person couldn't provide for them. And they dropped him off at the Catholic Charities in Baltimore City because they knew he would have a good life. And he was adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Reinhardt, Catherine Reinhardt and Ernest J. Reinhardt. They lived at 2307 they lived at Lindale Avenue, 2324. My sisters would know. I'll have to edit that. And they adopted, after my father, they said they needed a little daughter. And they wanted a boy and a girl, and they adopted my Aunt Sue. And they were raised together. And then they eventually moved to 4317 Cobb Avenue in Overly, Maryland. And that's where I was raised most of my life until I was a teenager. And then I went to 2307 Washington Boulevard. Then I went to Nicholson Road. I have different addresses because of the situations in my life. But here I am, little Teresa. My mom told me I was conceived out of rape. Back then, they didn't describe rape. You don't claim your husband raped you. But back in 65, that's what happened. My dad would come off the road, and he wanted some stuff. What would you call it? Wanted to have sex with my mom, and he forcefully forced himself on her, and there I was conceived. I'm only 18 months apart from my sister Kathy, and 16 months apart from my baby sister Mary. So, Mr. and Mrs. Reinhardt. My father's name became Frederick John Reinhardt, and my mother's name was Mary Frances Warren. She lived in Parkville, Maryland, on Willoughby Road, and that's the seed. So now I have to type it up because I don't know how I'm going to type it. But that's the seed of Teresa Lynn Reinhardt, born August 16th, 1965 at 12:14 a.m. Bye.